Because 100% all I saw was, I want to win, I want to break records, and I'm not doing that or breaking records, so what am I doing? Type of people are like, do whatever you love and everything will fall into place once you work hard towards whatever you love. It wasn't good enough in my head, because the only thing that I had was that loss, you know, because I was like, this is never gonna happen to me again. But to experience winning in Barbados, but then when you go to a bigger level and you can't even keep up with the first group of people, right? It's like, what's going on, you know? Me, I realized that I can burn out. Burnout is very real. When you're gonna go all the time, you get to a point where you crash. The next couple years, I plan on
You're my sister's age, but I have two sisters. I have Gabby, who you know, and I have a younger one who's 4. And having sisters, is it's a good experience, and it's something that means a lot to me. And someone who I have a 4-year-old as a sister, I remember when I used to coach kids from 4 to like 17, and what I always used to tell kids. Coaching them, soccer. Well, football. I call them soccer. Yeah, football. I used to coach them at Kickstart or coach them private lessons or whatever. And I always used to tell them, pay attention to the details, you know, and being able to pay attention and prioritize details and how important it is. And from someone like you yourself, Layla, when I say the word details, what does that mean to you? How important are details to you?
I actually was just talking about this the other day with
Really?
Some of my old training partners here in Barbados, and I was basically explaining, well, they're a bit younger than me, and my coach here asked me, you know, just to talk with them a little bit, and that's something that I really focused on, because my definition of like details and the little things is definitely, you're at practice for like 2 hours in a day and then you come back and do weights or whatever their schedule is, but there's only a certain amount of time where you can be exerting your body like that, and the details for me is everything outside of that.
Really?
So the 14 other hours that you're awake,
Yeah.
making sure you get your 8 to 10 hours of sleep, that is details to me. Making sure you're eating the right things to fuel the body that you just broke down, you know, understanding that like you're human, you're gonna go through things, but you have to be able to get yourself out of it as well, you know, so you have to do the right things, the small things. So as I was saying, like food, sleep, just making sure you're hydrating, you know, getting the right electrolytes, that type of thing, to really complement your workouts, you know, because if you keep breaking down your body and you're not doing the right things to build it back up, then how are you really getting stronger, or are you damaging yourself,
Correct,
you know, in the long term?
Yeah.
So I think that's what my
details
would look like.
Yeah.
And I think the details make the biggest difference between what I see myself as, like, if I want to be a good athlete, the difference between if I want to be a good athlete or a great athlete, I think the details is where it's at. And I think for me, in order to get to that level where I want to be, I really have to pay attention to the 14 hours outside of practice, not just exerting myself all the time, you know?
I guess the big question now to go off of what you just said is, did you always know this? Did you always know that the details matter?
No. When I was at HC, first form, second form, third form, absolutely not.
Really?
I was, well, up until COVID. I think in COVID, that's when I really I realized track is what I love, like I really love, and that's something that I need to pursue in order to just keep going, like lifestyle-wise, training-wise. I loved it, and I had no idea until it was taken away. Because sometimes when things are taken away from you, it's like, whoa. I took it for granted, you know. But yeah, so my big thing was just doing everything in COVID, like during COVID times, since we had so much time and like I was not paying attention on class. So while I was like on Zoom calls with my teachers, I would be looking up things like how to recover from lactic acid quickly, you know, just like little things like that. I was so sidetracked, but
doing two things at once. Yeah.
Exactly.
COVID was a difficult time, but before COVID, you were a young athlete that was looking to make their mark here and overseas. And if I'm not mistaken, you have been running your entire life, right?
Feels like it.
No, I do. I do remember you from, and I hope you remember me from primary school.
Yeah.
And I believe you were in the 2 grades below me, I think.
Yeah.
However, if you're 2 grades below...
John's year? John Robertson?
John, no, he's 2 years. So you're the year below me. Yeah, because John is the year above me.
Oh, yeah. So I'm 1 year below.
You're 1 year below me. Okay, I got you. So you're 1 year below me, but I always remember you from school running a lot at primary school.
Yeah.
And for me, now that I'm able to talk to you now, to see someone who has taken it to the highest levels and to see that you do it at the lowest levels as a kid, it says a lot and it means a lot. And I'm sure that a lot of kids want to be able to hear what you have experienced. And from the age of, I'm gonna guess 5, did you start running at 5 years old or more than that?
Well, when I'm asked the question, I actually say 11, because that's when I started seeing track as like a sport, something that I could actually do. Because all through primary school, I just ran. Like, I didn't study it any more than that. It's kind of like when you just go outside and play. Like, I would just go outside with my mom and she would force me to do hills. Not force, but like she would be working out. Yeah. And she would be telling me, Layla, come join me, that type of thing. And then I would just love it and I would continue doing it with her. Really? And then my dad was actually part of a CrossFit group at 4:30 in the morning on Tuesday mornings. So all throughout studying for Common Entrance, all throughout studying for Common Entrance that year, I would just wake up on Tuesday mornings, 4:30, and I would go and just run in their running group. Yeah. And Uncle Garth and Coach Phil, they ran it at the time, and they would just give me edited, modified workouts from the adults running group
to make it like little tapered.
Exactly. Yeah. And so my dad would be like, "Okay, Layla, run with me in this loop around the gymnasium. Stop. I'm gonna run the next one, and then join me on the next." So like I would just hop in and hop out as I go. And so that's really when I would say I started training. So that's kind of when I just started loving just running even more, because nothing else could wake me up at 4:30 and I'd be happy. But I like effortlessly would just love to wake up at that time and go run. So I don't know. But I also played so many other sports, but I never stuck with anything else. Track was the only thing that I was like,
what was it?
I love this.
What was it that made you choose track?
I think when I like winning. That was one thing. And then the other sports that I was doing, I wasn't seeing, in my head, I didn't see progress. Okay. But also in my head at that time, winning was very linear for me. And it looked very much like first place. And that was it. So when we would have games and all that stuff at school, primary, so in St. Gabriel's, and then I would see results. And track was the only thing that I actually saw results in terms of like quick results, if you know what I mean. At a young age, exactly. So it's hard now because I view winning so differently. Really? Definitely. Really? But back then, that was definitely the motivation to continue.
What were those sports?
It was, mind you, I would start for about 3 weeks and then never do it again.
Never did it?
And this was like a cycle. Outside of swimming was like the one thing that I continued every Saturday just for health. Yeah, just to go swim. But it was football, proper football, soccer, like proper football, thank you. And then it was, but again, I got the football spikes and probably used them about once.
What?
And had to give them away after because I was just into the next sport. Gymnastics.
Really?
But I was horrible.
Gymnastics?
Awful. Tennis.
Tennis?
Which I love now. If I could play any other sport, it would be tennis in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I think I love watching it more than I like actually tennis. Playing. That's work.
Yeah.
That's some hard work.
I like tennis as well, but I'm very interested in the fact that out of all the sports you played, especially football is a team sport, swimming individual, tennis individual, it seems like you were more gravitated towards individual sports, and it may have also coincided with the fact that you like winning. And with football and soccer and team sports like that, not everything's in your control. I feel like and I've always had an admiration for athletes who play individual sports, and they tend to have a different type of mindset. And with now that you chose track, and you also mentioned with the influence of your parents getting you to be involved in fitness and training, would you say they're your biggest influence when it comes to when you came up into sports?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, I don't think I could ever get to this point. And I'm only in college running, but I don't think I would ever be able to run in college if it wasn't for the support of my parents. Because it was my dad letting me come along with his runs at 4:30 in the morning, when I first started. It was my mom I think my mom is more of she's more of the out loud,
boisterous type person, yeah.
Yeah, like, Layla, let's go win this one. And my dad's more like, it's okay, Layla, whatever happens.
Really?
Yeah. Whatever happens, you'll be fine. My mom's like, run till you vomit.
Really?
Yeah, she's calmed down now.
No. When she's watching your events, is she the same way, or she's a bit more?
No, she gets nervous.
Nervous.
Yeah.
And
I hear.
You can see it, but you hear, as in you don't see it.
I've never seen it, no.
What about your dad? Is he calm?
I think he's just quiet.
Quiet.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
Do any of those personality traits show in you a bit more than one more than the other?
Maybe I take after my dad in terms of people tell me his mannerisms.
Okay.
But I try to be like my mom.
Like your mom?
Yeah, she's cool.
From a young age, you want to be like your mom?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because more energetic, more boisterous, out there.
Definitely. And she's always just so positive and good energy. And that's both my parents, but she shows it to everyone. And I love that,
Yeah.
But I try to be a good mix of both and take the positive attributes from both my parents and put it into everything that I do. And I definitely fall back on both my parents for a lot of advice all the time. And there's no way I would be sitting down right here ever if it was not for them. It's when I was saying like my definition of winning earlier, and I was talking about, when I was younger, was definitely first place is a win and nothing else.
Nothing else, yeah.
But as you get older and you become more experienced, and you start being exposed to bigger meets, bigger competition, and more on a worldwide scale, that idea of winning has to change.
Has to.
Because it's like, of course I want to win. But for the times that I don't win, that effect on you, the toll that it takes on your body after, and like the mental toll that it takes on you afterwards is what sometimes it can really get to me, That's when I say I really look up to them, because it's in those moments that they show the most love and support and care, and they're always there for me. And this is my whole family that I'm speaking for. Like my uncle, like everybody, So it's really, I'm blessed. I'm super blessed to have that support system. And I really don't think I would ever be able to have the experiences that I have without them. Really? And so, I've learned a lot from all of them. And I try to apply that into everything I do. And my idea of winning now looks more like did I do the right things leading up to the race? Did I do every single thing I could possibly do to put myself in my best position to start the race? Did I get to the starting line? You know, did I get to the finish line? Did I execute the race strategy? You know, did I eat all the right things leading up to the race? You know, did I just get all my sleep? The details, right? So, and this is both prior and after. So when the race is done, regardless of the place, did I look back on the race and tell myself that I left everything on the track? Did I run with heart? Was I actually really running because I love it, you know? Or was I just doing it for whatever and not taking advantage of the opportunity, you know? So that's kind of the things that I've learned over time. Like, that is my idea of winning. Did I execute a successful race strategy? You know, did I execute a successful plan? And I think that helps a lot with not only taking away pressure leading up to bigger races, but it also helps with longevity in terms of I want to be in the sport for longer because those pressures are taken off of me.
They did, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
you mentioned a lot of things that have sparked so many questions, right? Because I think it's very admirable, I'll say this again, for someone that young to make a decision that has changed the way that they view themselves as not an athlete, but also as a person. To make that decision and to make that transition at that age, 11, and then not only a few maybe months or years after that, very short period of time, you went performing at a level that didn't take very long to get there, but you did it in a short period of time, and to a very, very excellent results and ability.
Thank you.
When you were 11, no problem. When you were 11, moving forward, I want to know who was, you mentioned it already and you said it already, but I want to know who was Layla at the time where she was becoming I would like to say a phenomenon in track from a young age. Who was she, and what were you thinking and what were you doing that was different from now? Well, from now till then, and then.
I would say when I was 11, I was just very unserious.
Really?
But in the best way possible.
Okay.
Because I never took track mentally so seriously, even though I was doing everything I possibly could in terms of training and, you know, well, I was not eating properly. I was like, give me as much fat as possible every day if I can. I take, you know, but like, you know, I wasn't really focused on the details as much when I was younger. I really wasn't. But I loved the sport and I loved what I was doing. And that's when I remember in an article they once described me as like lion-hearted Layla or something like that in one of like the college articles. And so when I was repping HC, and it was just like, that stuck with me for like mentally because it kind of embodied who I wanted to be in terms of just a good representation for the school, for like my family, for myself, but also people are seeing that what I'm doing is authentic and genuine. Like, I really just love running, and that's why I'm here and nothing else. Really? That's why I go back to the word unserious in a way, because there was no pressure, there was no one forcing me to run, there was no additional stresses, but it was literally just, I love what I'm doing, and every time I get to go out there and run, like I want to win. It was quite literally that's all, and I was going to try every single thing to possibly win, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I think when I was younger, that's definitely the person who I still try to be forever and always, even though now I have a couple of years under my belt of doing the same thing, but back then everything was brand new. So like, the noise when you walk into a BSAC, that energy of the stadium when you're going through the tunnel and your heart is beating out of your chest, you know? But then you come up and you realize, like, this is cool. This is something that I want to do, you know? Even if it's just for that day. this is the place I want to be. I'd way rather be there than in math. I'd way rather be running than in school. But that was how I was thinking back then, you know.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit different. I'm locked into my
more
work
priorities and everything. You got to think about different things. Yeah.
But,
I think, especially now that you mentioned school, I think balancing school at that age, now that you are competing at not only locally but national level, was it difficult to balance a life of competing and as well as your academics?
Well, it's kind of weird. I kind of viewed it as two different lives.
Okay.
There was like a track Layla, and there was like literally like a switch that I would just like flip on and off, where I'm at the track and I just don't think about anything else.
Really?
Like I still do it actually.
Yeah.
It's probably bad.
It works.
But everything that's going on outside of the perimeter of the track, like I'm not studying at all. And so back to like the details thing, it really became apparent to me when I was in like first form, trying to get accustomed to my new schedule, my like 12 classes, you know, because everything is so different between J4 when you're studying for common entrance, just focusing on math and English and composition. And then when you go into, you know, secondary school. So everything was a big adjustment, but everything came in its own stride as well. And, you know, I had a lot of teachers at Harrison College. I still will never forget like Miss Quimby, who was my my form teacher in first form when I first went in. And she really was just helping me through the entire time, because there's definitely some classes that I just did not get. I did not understand. I was really struggling with. And then, like, I'm not a math person. I will openly say that. I try so hard, but it's just not, it's not for me. But I tried, you know, and Miss Quimby, when I didn't want to, I have had teachers at such a young age that were just so supportive and so like, Layla, you need to do this in order to get to this level, you know? And they made it quite clear back then that, and it took a while for it to resonate, but looking back, it's probably, like, I'm so grateful for teachers like that, you know, that really cared, because it just showed me how important school actually is. Because I would never be in college if I didn't focus when I had to focus. You know, if I don't get through first form, then how am I going to run in college? You know, if I don't pass my CXCs, then how am I going to run in college? You know, so how do I get to the next level if I'm not focusing on the basic things? So I had to get that shift in my head, and I had to become a little bit more serious with that. But yeah, it was a work in progress.
Still is a work in progress.
Exactly.
Did you always know, or some kids, I wouldn't say most, definitely not most, but some kids tend to know what they want to do at that age, 13. I wouldn't say all, definitely not all, but each kid would try to maneuver in between different areas, athletics, academics. Relating to academics though, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do at that age? Academically, no idea. No. Not one. I just kind of know myself in general. And again, my parents, they're definitely the type of people who are like, do whatever you love and everything will fall into place once you work hard towards whatever you love, you know? And so with that thinking, it was kind of just like trying to find out what I love by trying different things. And so even now I'm in college, and I spent my first year studying sports management. And then when I realized that I'm not really loving this coursework, my parents were like, we were really going through it, seeing like all the classes that I've done well in the past and the things that don't really feel like work. So now I'm studying like journalism, and I'm loving my courses, and a minor in public relations, and I'm loving it, you know? So once I realized you really have to know yourself, then school doesn't really feel like school. I'm excited to go, well, to my 8:30 lecture is a stretch. But but I like my professor, you know? It's not that bad when I'm there. Just to get there. But yeah, you know, it's definitely a work in progress. But I love what I'm doing, so it helps a lot when you love what you do. You know? You love what you do. And that goes into everything. So academically, athletically, you know, once I realize that I'm just going to have to start studying things that I actually appreciate and I can actually learn with
excitement that kind of changed everything.
Really?
Yeah.
And you were at an age where, again, you were also having to balance athletics at a larger scale as well. So your first CARIFTA games, and this is very unique, your first CARIFTA games, correct me if I'm wrong, is at 13 years old.
Yes.
Yes. But before that, you were 12 and you did manage to, was it break a record or is it in the 1500?
I think so.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't know. but yes.
You were at an age, in 2019 you were 12 and you were upon breaking into trying to go to CARIFTA. And from my knowledge, you have competed in the 800 and the 1500 and a couple other distance events. And with the 1500, you couldn't go to CARIFTA because you were too young to go. I'm not sure if someone told me that I'm good enough to go, but I'm too young, how I'll be able to take that. For me, if I'm good, if they're good, it doesn't matter the age. I know rules are rules, but if you're at an age where you're competing, you're actually not just qualifying, but you have faster times or as fast times as the girls in a certain age group at a younger age, I'm sure you didn't take that very well.
Well, again, because I really didn't take track too seriously mentally, I didn't know that I qualified, and I didn't really know what it meant either. So when it happened, I had no idea what was really going on because I'm also, this is bad, but I didn't really watch track.
Okay.
And because I didn't really watch track, because I did it, like, I don't know if you get what I mean, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Again, like, I kind of separate my like track self and like and myself,
other stuff.
And so when I'm not at the track, I tend not to be watching track unless I'm trying to learn something like about like lactic acid or something like that to like help me. But it's changed now. I've grown to love the sport, like watching it too. But so when I was 12 though, I didn't really understand what CARIFTA was, other than from what people were telling me. And so I wasn't really emotionally taken aback, and I just had to trust the process all the time, because I really feel as if there was a reason why, and like my time was just not there yet, you know. Like my time to go and be exposed to these bigger international meets, it just wasn't there yet. You know, and that's kind of something that I try to take, like, if something doesn't happen right now, then maybe something bigger is going to happen in the future that I just don't know. And I think it was a good decision not to, you know, put me into that experience from so young. Because even when I went at 13, I'm so grateful that I went, but it was a lot. It was, everyone was so much older than me. And so I felt significantly younger than everyone else, because I think CARIFTA is under 17 and under 20. And I was 13, and so looking around, I was like, mentally already, I remember Kyle Gale, he actually told me, because he was on the team, and before my race, not my race, but the night before, when we were all eating dinner, he mentioned something along the lines of, I don't want to get this wrong, but it was something along the lines of, if you have already like mentally, if you don't see yourself winning before the race, then you basically won't, you know? In like different words, but he gave that idea. And that really stuck with me, the whole premise that he was kind of saying. And it was because I was really doubting myself when I was there. I think because in my head, the odds were against me. But then I performed and I proved that they were, you know? Because I didn't do well in the race. And that really stuck with me because, like, exactly what he said happened. You know, if I don't see myself winning, then I won't. It's quite simple, right? And so I think that was probably one of the best lessons that I learned from that entire trip, because I realized the importance of like confidence in yourself. And it's really true. Like if you don't see yourself achieving something, no one's gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can't see it for yourself, then how are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
You know? And so that's something I definitely really took away and was able to stick with that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's like the really positive experience of, you know, just being out of the country, learning how to travel, how to travel and compete, being in a village, in a sports village with all these other
That's
teams.
Cool, isn't it?
And at that time, it was so intimidating to me because I'm seeing all these people that I've heard of, but I've never actually
met them before,
seen them perform in person, and I've never actually been right here with them, walking around getting food in the same dining hall, like, you know, like, not dining hall but like cafeteria. Like it's just, it was an experience that I think I needed to have, you know. And I really tried when I was there. I actually wrote down everything, every little detail from that entire trip,
like a journal.
As I was there. As I was there, and the second I left, and I still have it, and I still look back to it because I was even saying like my emotions at the time and how I was feeling, and I was extremely nervous. This was when I was 13, and it was the first big race that I've ever done, and it felt nothing like running at home in my national stadium at all, because that was like just hop out my bed, you know, and like I have the comfort of my parents right there with me, and I have my coaches with me, and all my teammates that I normally train with are there, and I just go running. But the people that I'm racing against are also the people that I train with, you know, so it's a different level of comfort entirely. And then when you're exposed to this whole new world, you know, it kind of sticks with you a bit, you know. And so I'm so grateful that I went and I got those nerves off. But if I went at 12, I don't know if I would have stuck to track to get to 13,
I know you did say that there was a point where you just did not. After that event, although it was a lot of positives, you did say that you were considering not doing track anymore.
Yeah, because 100% all I saw was, I want to win, I want to break records, and I'm not doing that or breaking records, so what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, when you're, you know, I was so privileged and like blessed that I got to experience winning in Barbados. But then when you go to a bigger level and you can't even keep up with the first group of people, right? It's like, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but it's funny because I don't remember the races that I win.
Really?
I have no idea.
Really?
Like, I don't, it's concerning, actually. I should probably lock in. Really? But, but I remember just about every single race that I've lost. Every single one.
You know, it's good that you mentioned. It's good that you said that. You know, because I was speaking to one of my teammates this semester. We were just talking, actually on the injury bed, just next to each other.
Yeah.
You know, I found that those times where you're at your lowest point, you tend to are grateful. You're grateful for, well, at that time being healthy.
Yeah.
I was grateful for being healthy before. Now I'm not. At that time, and I said to him, or he said to me actually, you know, I never actually remember the good games that I have. I always tend to remember the mistakes and the things I did wrong, or the things I could have done in the game but didn't. And I was like, you know what? I said to myself as well, I can't remember any good games. I can remember some, but I can't remember any good games for the most part. But I always seem to remember when I did bad, when I absolutely just got subbed off early. I remember those. And he was like, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You always tend to remember, and what I realize is that athletes at a certain level, they have a very short-term memory. And I always say to myself, I have a short-term memory either on purpose or if I want to forget it, you know? And by what you're saying is you seem to have this short-term memory of forgetting your wins or not wanting to remember your wins, but you are forced to remember your losses.
Yeah.
Because I'm only thinking of how competitive you are. You want to be able to remember the losses because they hurt a lot more. You remember them a lot more. Is that true?
Definitely. I would say, even going back to that CARIFTA experience, that one loss, I think I was borderline traumatized. Because I dreamt the same race over and over and over again. Like, it almost turned into a nightmare. It was like, it's kind of weird now that I think about it. But for all of COVID. And then the only motivation that I had to keep running through, like when we had to remain in our curtilage, right? The only thing that I had was that loss, you know, because I was like, this is never going to happen to me again. And in my head, every single day, I kind of became obsessed with it, honestly, because I was so taken aback by, I was like, okay, well, we all were on the start line. We all made it to the start line, which means we all were meant to be there, right? And I had to gradually allow myself to accept that I was meant to be there, you know? But only one person can win, right? And so that idea really bothered me, because it's like I trained so hard and I worked so hard, and then I lost. I still lose, and I lost by a lot, right? And in my head, I think it was 7th or something, but I still lost. You know? No one knows 7th place. They only know first, right? Yeah. And so I was like, this hurts.
It does.
And that was a new type of loss for me, because it was on my first regional meet, international, I guess, international meet, you know, and it was my first big exposure to anything beyond Barbados, right? And I was like, the one time that I'm actually supposed to perform, I don't, you know? So I actually felt the weight of almost letting my whole country down, because I'm representing not myself, but I'm representing Barbados, you know? And so all through those 2 years really of COVID till we started amping back, or a year and a half until we started amping back up track meets and getting more races done, I was like, this can't happen. It can't happen again. And I really, just as you said, even now, I can never forget that race. I don't know why.
That's that race. Yeah.
But that was an experience for me, you know? But yeah, it's just to really build on it and just realize that, you know, these things are going to happen.
Got you.
And it definitely added towards the idea of why am I doing this? You know, I really should just give up, you know, all that stuff, because it's where are we going with this? You know, if you don't see quick results, then, as I said, I was like, I'm kind of a person where I want to see it right now. You know? And it took me a long time to get to the point where, okay, patience, I'll be patient. I'll be maybe not now, but later. You know? And so,
that's good.
It's a work in progress, but
it still is, yeah. But 13, 14, 15, 2019, you're 13. 2020, COVID. 2021, COVID, nothing. Well, competition-wise. 2021, the year before you moved away.
Yeah.
You did finish high school here, so secondary school here, at 15 or 16.
Yeah, CXC, after 5th form.
Yeah. That time, I think for a lot of athletes who want to move to the US or move abroad, it's a difficult time, and it can determine where and how your career academically and athletically is going to play out. And I think at a young age, it's hard. It's hard to be able to transition, and not only make the transition. So that process of being able to go from Harrison College, Harrison College in secondary school here, high school here, to going into, is it prep school basically?
Yeah.
Yes, at IMG.
The equivalent of, so it's junior and senior year of high school in America.
Yes.
But lower 6, upper 6.
Yes.
Here.
When did you know of the IMG Academy?
I had a family member who actually presented it to my parents. And he basically said that he wanted his daughters to play tennis there because it was really a tennis academy, and then they brought in all these other sports. And my parents were like, yeah, you know, maybe. They were very iffy on sending me away so young. But my mom went to boarding school, her sister went to boarding school. So like our family, you know, isn't unfamiliar with the idea, you know. And so we went to, what was it? Oh, this is a while back. I begged and begged and begged to go. And once we came to the realization, because I really did not want to do CAPE at all. I've heard trauma stories.
CAPE is, for anyone that doesn't know, CAPE is the 2 years after high school here, and that's like a higher level of education that for the most part, or almost entirety, is quite difficult. Well, it's difficult, and it's not something that most athletes want to go through. They want to be able to leave Barbados as fast as possible, and I assume that's what you really wanted to do.
And so I kind of got to the point where I was like, I mean, maybe I go to BCC. This was actually one of the determining factors for me on whether or not I was going to continue track.
Really?
Because it was based kind of academically. And I was like, you know, if I go to like BCC, I don't think I would run, you know, because I didn't really feel like past BSAC level. I was kind of like, I'll just really focus in on whatever I'm studying. And I've had a great couple years here. I ran for secondary school and had a blast. Co-college, right? I was like, cool. And then when this whole boarding school thing was like brought up, I really started questioning it. And my parents were not against me going away for school at all. They were just kind of iffy about, I don't know if they were iffy, but I think it was just the age that I was leaving at, if anything. But when we realized that IMG Academy, where I went, is kind of a perfect place to get into, to help get into college with your sport, because it kind of, their schedule is built exactly how a college schedule would be. And then they're really well connected, the coaches there. So the experience alone, just going out there, going to America, you know, being in a boarding school environment, it would be an experience to take away. And so my parents were not, they weren't hesitant on the idea that, you know, this could be really good, you know, for me. And I think Barbados is phenomenal and it's great. But just being able to experience something beyond Barbados, I think has really broadened a lot of my views and a lot of just my ideas and stuff, and just being exposed to so many different people, I think was a great experience. And I really can't complain. And so when I went to IMG, once we realized that it was such a heavily sport-focused school, then I had a blast. Because for 2 years, I had this really unique experience where I got to travel all over the US and compete, doing what I still love, track, and I got to continue running and I got to learn, you know, I'm still in school, still running, so everything kind of just worked out. When we were, because we got in contact with the coach there, and I went up for their summer camp, and then the coach really heavily recruited me. Well, I don't know if, you can't really recruit for a high school. So I guess this is really heavily, he would love if I were to go to their school, in other words. And so, it wasn't recruiting. But yeah, we had a blast once we realized that this could it could happen. And so I went, and it was an experience I can never take away. I got to, that whole idea that I was saying before with traveling for my first meet to CARIFTA and, you know, being exposed to competing with all these people from all over the world that, you know, never got the chance to before. IMG was that on 10. And so I had the coolest experience of just traveling all over the US, and people internationally would fly into all these meets, and I got really accustomed to every weekend hopping on a plane and going, packing all my stuff away, you know, and going to compete and coming back, settling in, being ready for 8:30 school, you know, just like it was a constant hustle. And I got that experience at 16, which I think has really helped me be, even for college in particular. And I haven't really, because I didn't compete outdoors, I haven't really fully experienced the college track scene, NCAA fully. But I've been there for a year, and I'm now in my second year. And I see the benefits of how just a little bit of being accustomed to the schedule from early can help me with just taking away nerves, because it's not so foreign.
Yeah, correct.
And once you start breaking away those layers, then things start becoming almost more realistic in your head, because it's like, okay, if I can do this, then that means, if I can do this now at any little meet that they're having, then if I work really hard, then I can do this for the next CARIFTA, and I can just apply the same practice there, you know, and I just keep adding and adding and adding and getting more experience, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was able to, what I was doing in school was able to go straight into what I was able to do for Barbados for track, you know. And so that's kind of a plus that I see.
Yeah, because IMG, I want to know what's a busy day for you in season at IMG.
So I had 2 coaches for like distance, and one left after my junior year, but I'll talk about my senior year under Coach Law, and my schedule, and Coach Avi, and my schedule was pretty well laid out. So I would have, and I was taking online classes as well.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yes, because of COVID and everything, the school had online classes that we could take, and then they were actually dual enrollment. So that means I was in high school, but I was taking college classes with the college next door, and so I was getting college credits in high school, which was nice.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah,
and the classes were fully online. So that was also nice.
All online.
Because I would only have a couple hours in school.
Yeah.
Taking my other courses, like just general high school credits. But what I did was I would wake up, and we're living on campus, right, for Astoria. So I would wake up, I would go straight to the dining hall, grab breakfast, and then I would hop in.
What are you eating?
What am I eating? I am eating, I'm eating, IMG. What was I eating? Oh, Fruit Loops. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I was having Fruit Loops.
Really?
And yes, I was having Fruit Loops and whatever chocolate bar I can find in my bedroom that I would like steal on my way out to the dining hall, where I would just take cereal and keep going.
Really?
Yeah, because I would always wake up late as well. So it didn't really help. But, you know, I've learned time management and nutrition and all that stuff, you know. It's a work in progress. And so I would go straight after eating all that stuff. I would go to the track. And at the track, where I would have morning practice, this is like during cross-country season in particular, I would have whatever the workout was, and then I would go back to lunch one time, or if it wasn't lunch, I would go to weights, and then I would go for lunch, then I would go back to my dorm, change, get ready, and go to school for the evening. And then after the evening, I would go evening school session, because it was a couple hours. How they did it, they separated the school by morning and afternoon. So if you trained in the morning with your team, then you went to afternoon school, and if you trained in the afternoon with your team, you went to morning school. So I actually flipped during cross country and track season sometimes. And so I would go hang out with my advisors in my school, and then I would head back to dinner, and then back in the dorms, or just hang out with friends, or do whatever to kill the probably 1 hour that you would have between.
For yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Before it's time to just do it all over again the next day.
Yeah. And that's in season? Or is that just for the year?
That was
consistent.
Pretty consistent. That was just like a busy day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now with the introduction of more CARIFTA, how did you manage to balance that? Because you have CARIFTA, you have school, and you also have to compete at school as well.
Luckily, the school that I was at is very accommodating to athletes. Because it's a very sports-reliant school and very heavily sports-focused, their whole syllabus, and I guess it is syllabus, but their whole idea is backing the athlete. And so the teachers were so good with, if work is due, but I have a meet this weekend, they'll make me do it before. They'll advance things before, or they'll make me do it after. They'll select times that you can go in office hours and you get everything worked out. And that was great. They really were good with making sure that I was holistically good in terms of academics, athletics, and then there's also health-wise. So making sure I'm going to the training room, which I forgot to add, but my trainers are phenomenal and they're with you all the time.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, all the trainers that I've ever had at both University of Florida and IMG, 100% phenomenal. You know, and they're the type of people like on 24-hour call, basically.
Yeah.
You know, so if I have any problem anytime, just send them a message, let them know. And the next morning, or if it's like urgent or whatever, we'll get it sorted out.
Yeah.
So this is in terms of injuries that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
This is in terms of, like, even if you're not feeling well or something, you would go to a trainer or someone who would then, you know, tell you to go back to the like medics on the school or whatever. But yeah.
Do you, considering that you have a lot of facilities and people that you can call on, I wonder if this resonates with you as well, because when I feel as though I'm in an environment that is professional and as well as very organized, I feel the need and I'm urged to perform and give my all. Because I'm wondering if you feel the same way, where you need to be your best, perform at your best, because you have people that are supporting you. Is that the same way that you feel when you're at IMG and now moving into Florida? Well, I
100%.
Really?
100%. I feel as if, you know, I look around and I realize I'm the only person from Barbados on this team. You know, I realize I'm the only, like, not at University of Florida, but at IMG, or, you know, I just realized I'm in a special position, you know, in terms of this is an experience that I cannot take for granted at all. And people worked hard for me to be here, and I have to work really hard to prove that I should be here. And not only just prove that I should be here, but also I understand fully that this is an experience that I cannot take for granted, you know? And so I really need to just focus on how to execute and take every opportunity and just use it to the max. It's also people, I feel as if I get so much support from home, and I get so much support from my parents and my family all over, that it's just, if I'm not putting my all into something that so many people are willingly, just freely, just being overly supportive for, then I feel like I'm not just letting down myself, but I'm letting down everybody. Because why should you care about something more than I care about it if I'm doing it? You know, it's not fair on you.
Exactly.
So I definitely do, in terms of pressure, that is something that I do think about all the time, in terms of just access to, like at University of Florida, my access to an incredible track that I can go and train on whenever. And then I have, like, we have great coaches here too, but I have a great support system there as well, all across the board. And even though my parents aren't with me physically, they're on the phone, one call away. And so it's just something that, you know, the people around me definitely make me. In terms of, I feel the need to definitely show up and show out, because people have just poured so much love and poured so much effort and time willingly into seeing something that I don't even see yet. You know, nothing's happened. I haven't done anything major, but people are just being so supportive, and I feel it. I really feel it, and I'm so grateful for that. Because it's something that internally motivates me to another level. So
yeah, I think that's a really
like, I feel it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not home, I'm a proud Bayesian. Like, I really feel the love and I feel the support, and I'm so grateful for that.
That's amazing.
Across the board.
That's amazing to have that humility as well as know yourself. Have the confidence, but also have humility. It's a good balance.
Yeah.
And before we go any further, we're going to do the quick fire questions and then take a break afterwards. But win Olympic gold or championship with the Gators?
Both.
Both. You can't choose both. You can't choose both.
It's not or.
There's no or.
No or.
No or. So you're manifesting that.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I love that. 2028.
For sure.
Yeah. It is in the US too, you know.
LA.
Yeah, I'm sure you know. I'm sure you have it like written down, you know, ready to go.
Yeah.
You ready? Well, not ready now, but you thinking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too far ahead, but you're considering it.
It's right there.
It's right there. Yeah.
I just have to be there. But it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
And the championship with Gators is University of Florida. It's possible.
God willing.
God willing. God willing, 100%.
God willing.
Be the best at one thing or be good. Average at, not average, but let's say good at, be the best at one thing or be good at everything.
Be the best.
Be the best at one thing.
Yeah.
Just one thing. I didn't say what it was. I just said anything.
Do I get to choose?
I mean, you can choose no, but from a general perspective, if I said to you, be the best at one thing or be good at everything.
Nah, be the best.
Be the best at one thing.
Yeah.
Just one thing.
Kind of going back to like the race thing. Like, everybody on the line could be good, but the best wins.
What if I said that both things were different things? So the best thing is a different thing, but the good thing is, well, everything.
Wow, now I'm really confused.
If you're the best at track, and let's say you were good at everything you touched.
I guess at that point, I was going to say something really deep and emotional. Whichever one makes me more money.
That's deep and emotional.
Yeah, that's deep and emotional. Yeah, I got to survive, you know.
I know what you mean. When I put it that way, I know it made it more difficult. But morning or evening practice?
Evening.
Yeah?
I train on mornings, but I can't.
You don't like it? I know what you mean.
Well, I train on mornings when I'm home.
Home.
And I've started training on evenings or afternoons up in the States in Florida, and I love it. It's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
I don't talk to people until like 11:30. It's great. It's really great.
Even for gym as well?
Yeah, that's after the track practice. We would go to the gym.
Home, not home Barbados, but home or away meets?
Oh, so like at University of Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, away.
Away meets, really? Not home meets?
No.
No, home is, you feel more comfortable at home, no?
In Barbados, home.
In Barbados, home, but not in Florida.
No, not in Florida.
No, what makes away meet so?
I guess that is also a pressure thing. Because I think when you are running on your home track, you know, when I'm running at University of Florida track, like the same track again that I train at, that I'm used to. There's another level, there's another expectation that you have to meet. You know, because I'm not going to represent University of Florida poorly on a University of Florida track. That's like disrespectful. In my eyes, that's like disrespectful.
I know what you mean. And just that
so,
thought.
Exactly, that thought, I can't do it. So I love away meet. Yeah. But I think that's because of stress and pressure.
Really?
Because I think I would definitely put more pressure on myself if I were to compete at home in terms of competing away.
Really?
Yeah, because I get to forget about it if I leave the the state.
That's true.
Or the school that I'm at.
Yeah.
But then if I have to go there the next day and be like, jeez. I'm like, well.
That leads into the next question. Best track or best state so far that you've run at besides Florida?
Run at? What was really cool for me was actually Kingston, running in Jamaica. Yeah. Because I was, in terms of facility-wise, I would say Oregon and their, like, University of Oregon.
You traveled all the way to Oregon?
Yeah.
Was that like 2 days?
That was, we actually stayed there for like 4 days.
4 days?
Yeah.
So you traveled like 4 days before the event?
Yeah.
Wow. To get like accustomed to the time and everything, yeah.
It was a whole different, because I'm coming, this was when I was still in high school. And so I was based in Florida and we kind of travel all the way across, which takes a long time to get to Oregon. So that's kind of cutting a day off. And then you have to get your body accustomed to being in the new environment. And it was really cold as well.
Really? Oh yeah, it was cold at that time, yeah.
Yeah, it was cold when we had to race there. So your body just has to adjust. So.
Gotcha.
But experience-wise, culture-wise,
Kingston.
Running in Jamaica is
Different.
Cool.
Really?
That's cool, yeah. Yeah.
That's the place to
like
be.
I understand why track is
there.
track. Like I love that. I loved it.
Yeah, everything about it.
It was pretty cool for me personally as well, because this would have been at CARIFTA when I did run in Kingston. And I have a cousin, his name is Dylan Woodruff, and he runs for Trinidad.
Okay.
And my granddad is a former Trini Olympian.
Really?
And he broke some record. I can't remember what record it was, but it was some record, and he broke it for the first time on the Kingston track. This was way back then. No offense, I mean, maybe not way back. A couple years ago. Yeah. And so he got to come and watch while both my cousin and I were both racing in Kingston. So I think all around it was just a special moment for me. And we were just talking about that because I was just with my granddad.
Yeah. And
so he was just explaining how cool it was for him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool for you. It was cool for me.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it because I know your experience. That's where you won gold. But we'll talk about that experience after. But now that you mentioned climate and being able to change states, indoor or outdoor seasons. I know this is different. Outdoor seasons.
Indoor, so I don't do the cold.
But outdoor is in the cold. Isn't that in the spring?
But January through February, March, maybe March. I don't know how people do it.
But aren't you indoor? Is that outdoor?
Yes, but in America it's cold.
It's cold, yeah. In Florida too, it's cold.
Thank you. Everyone says I'm ridiculous for saying that, but I'm freezing in Gainesville.
I think it gets like single digits sometimes. I've seen it in Florida.
I've had to run in 6 degrees and I nearly cried. And I know I can't really say that because there's so many people who are like in Canada or even just Georgia, just like right above Florida that have different experiences. But I'm like,
it can get cold.
I can't get past Florida in general as a state.
Really?
I can't do the cold.
Can't do the cold.
So indoor season, even though we're running inside, the environment is cold. Like everything is just cold. That's all I think about when I hear indoor. Just cold. So
I feel you. So
I choose outdoor each and every day.
Oh, got you. Pre-game song, favorite song, or genre of song or songs.
Sometimes when I've been away from home for a long time. A rupee.
Rupee?
I'm a Bayesian.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah, swear to God.
Really?
Sometimes.
And it just puts you in that like...
This like, you know what?
Yeah.
I might be in Arkansas, but like, I'm a Bayesian. Like, it's cool. I'm like, or every Rihanna song possible.
Every Rihanna? Yeah.
Every single one. Anyone is fine.
I'm with you on the Rihanna. Favorite sport to watch or play? I think you mentioned that already. I can guess.
Oh, tennis.
Yeah. Tennis, yes. I like to watch tennis. I like to play tennis. I had to choose between football and tennis, but I chose football, so.
Yeah.
Whether I regret it or not, I don't regret it, but we'll see. But pre-game meal.
No regrets.
Favorite pre-game meal?
This is so boring. It's literally oatmeal, like the instant oats.
Yeah, the cup.
That you can make as fast as possible. When you're walking out the door, that's it.
That's it. And you're good.
I can barely eat before I race.
I know what you mean. It's like
nerves about 6 hours before, like kill me. So, yeah.
Something light. Yeah.
Very.
800 or 1500?
8.
Really? Why?
This is kind of like controversial because technically, in theory, according to stats, like I'm better at the 15, but the 800's where my heart. It's like where's my heart? Yeah. Because it's like.
It's a fight, isn't it?
It gives me more of a mental challenge, and I don't know why I would do that to myself, to be honest, because it's the worst race.
800.
Well, I would say between the 400, 4 hurdles, and 800, like it's up there in track. In terms of being one of the worst races, and I feel horrible. Don't get me wrong.
Afterwards, yeah.
Even before, I'm like, just the thought. But yeah, it's a bit rough. But 1500, I don't know what it is. But I haven't ran many 1500s at all.
Okay.
So, well, since I've been in Barbados at least.
Okay.
And it's mainly because in high school, they bump you up in the States to the 1609, which is the full mile, or the 1600. Yeah. And then in college, they bring you back down to the 1500. So the distances changes, it varies. So I really haven't ran a proper 1500 in a long time. But all I remember from the race, it's just long.
Yeah.
Like you just keep running and running. So when I heard that I could run just 2 laps, I was like, what? This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
At a different pace, though.
Oh, that's the hard part. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. So.
But 800.
800, yeah.
All right. Gold, 1500. Silver, 800, right? In 23?
Yes.
Yes. But before that, you got your first medal at CARIFTA, bronze in 1500.
Yes.
First medal. Satisfied?
No.
No. At the time?
No. I was grateful, yes. But that was still fresh coming off of when I was 13. If I have my timelines right, I'm pretty sure. And it wasn't good enough.
Okay.
In my head. Because, I really tried. I don't even like using the word tried. I did my best. I really did my best. But even that still wasn't good enough. And so it kind of sent me on a whole another another spiral down the road of I keep working really hard. But then there's just always someone who's better than me.
Yeah. I understand.
And so, but it also gave me another year of that whole thinking where like, I need to do better. I need to be better. I need to just keep going to get better. But this was actually between my shift, kind of mentally.
Okay.
And my dad, he really helped me through this one because he basically explained to me that when I came down to the root of what motivates me, it's always been negative things. I was a very negative motivator. So my motivation to train, to give it my all at practice was the fact that I lost the race. Right? But when you have that, it's not really, in terms of longevity and in terms of just like general health and just, it's not very positive. It's not a good thing to strive off of. It feeds the hunger, but I don't know if it feeds it well,
Gotcha.
And so that was a work in progress. And coming to the realization that I was very negatively motivated, I was forced to make a shift, and my parents, both of them, really came down to the stem of it, because then you start becoming unhappy. I was unhappy in what I was doing. I was losing the love for the sport, because when you're burning off of this anger or this I could have, would have, wish I did, then it's just not sustainable. And so I really had to realize that something needs to change or else I'm done, basically. I'm more of I'll give you my everything, or I'll give you nothing.
I got you,
It's that type of thing.
Even if it's bronze, Because if you're winning bronze and you're getting closer, because before you didn't medal, you won awards, but you didn't medal in the CARIFTA. Now you actually medaled, yet you still aren't satisfied. And I believe that some people would think that as well. You should be happy with what you have, but if you're competing, you want to win.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that, especially in an individual sport such as track, there are how many losers and there's only one winner. And now that you placed bronze in 22 next year, you said again that can't happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. 23 happens.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. So when I got the bronze, I give myself the day.
The day to just
Actually, I lied. I give myself because I had the next race the next day. So I gave myself, when I finished the meet, the rest of the night. I watched the fireworks, go CARIFTA. Jamaica was cool. I loved it. But I only had that little 12-hour when the whole meet was done to be like, okay, you know, I'm really happy. I'm really grateful. You know, I prayed. I was like, thank God, you know, of course. But it was also like the next morning, I better start running fast. Because I was instantly like, I need to get back into training because I got a year to shift this now. And it needs to start now, right? And then there's the reality of my parents not letting me go out and run the day after because maybe a shakeout and that's it. But take a break. The understanding that I need a break, that took me up until this vacation, actually.
Really?
To realize that, you know, I'm human, my body needs breaks. Mentally, physically, I need it. But definitely then I was like, nah. We gotta go. So to the point where I was so mad. Well, I can't even say that I was mad about my bronze because I don't want it to come off like the wrong way or be interpreted the wrong way. But what I mean was I saw something bigger for myself, and I thought even though I gave it my all in the race, afterwards I was like, I need to do better. You know, I have this opportunity to be on this stage. I'm starting to get to the age where I'm not 13 anymore. I need to start performing. Because there's a different level of, you know, you're 13, you go for experience. That's what everyone's telling me. Like, it's okay. Whatever happens, it'll be okay. After my race, when I ran awfully, I was like, it's okay. It's fine.
Okay.
It's cool. You'll be okay. It's fine. You'll come back in a couple of years and, you know. But I'm at the age now where that's not going to pass. You know, you go to these meets, and especially as I've now had that exposure to international meets on a consistent basis. It's when you come home and you represent Barbados, you represent well, you know. And so I was like, this needs to change. This can't happen again. Now,
definitely.
It was rough. And so, but I gave myself the day. I was like,
to think about
cool,
it.
thank God, you know, this is great. Thank you, you know. I got 2 bronzes. I'm super grateful. My coaches, you know, they deserve the world and a half because they really helped me get all my coaches leading to, like, it builds and builds and builds, you know. So, but I wasn't satisfied. No, I wasn't satisfied at all.
I'm
still not. But it's okay. It's fine. No regrets.
I love that. I think if I'm being completely honest, if I were to hear that at the same 13 years old, if I heard that from any athlete who, my teammate, whatever, I'd be like, well, but you know, you still have time. No, I think over the last couple of years, my career, I've just thought of, no, I need to, like, now. And that's why I like to speak with other athletes to hear what they have to say. And what you did say, which was very important, that I caught, and I'm glad I caught it. You mentioned balance. And you had to balance not just school, we spoke about school and academics and athletics, but balance rest. How important is that? Balancing rest, and not just rest, but time for yourself.
That is honestly just as important as as everything else. Let me just take this moment to spend time with my family. Let me just take this moment to just ease back a little bit and make sure that my body's okay and I'm not over pushing myself or running on an injury just to make it worse. But you're thinking you can't miss practice that day. But if you don't miss practice for one day, you might miss practice for 2 months. If you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So, but this is so much easier said than done, for me at least. Because I can go talk all this, ha ha ha, and then 3 weeks from now find myself in the same position. So it's something that I constantly have to check back in with myself and realize, you know, I've put down this major block of training. God, like thank God, but if I don't take this little break while I'm home with my family and have fun and enjoy being with my friends and just be myself, track aside, I don't know how long into the season I would be able to execute to the level that I need to execute if I don't take the time for myself.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah,
I think it's very important.
So far, we've been talking for a little bit now, and in every question, every answer you've given me, in almost every answer, you've mentioned God. How important is God and your faith in not just athletics, set that aside, you as a person and how you approach every day?
For me, my faith is crucial. It's crucial for me. When I left home, and I only realized it when I left home, and I was in the States by myself, because I'm in this boarding school environment, but my family, I actually got lucky. So Dylan Woodruff, my same cousin, he came to the same school that I was at in my second year. But for that first year, I was by myself fully. I had no family in any close range to me. And I really felt like I was alone. I was like, how do people do this? Like in general, how do you leave home and operate and have to do things all the time by yourself without the help or anything from your loved ones or from anyone sometimes, especially on weekends or long weekends when everyone's gone and traveling and it's quite literally just you in your little dorm all alone. It's like, this is ridiculous, especially when you're being faced with other challenges, injuries, or being forced, or my thing, remember I was saying like quick results, so like I needed that, like to see results. When you're not hitting the times that you want to hit, and when you're not seeing progress but you're doing everything supposedly right, then what's really going on? And then I kind of started spiraling basically, and so I needed my faith. I realized I actually can't go on without my faith, because without that, like, that's number one for me. Everything surrounds my faith. Because everything could disappear, and when it was just me alone in that room and no family was there, I couldn't go train because it's late and all that stuff. And it's just, I realized all I have is my faith and my relationship with God, and everything else will be handled. Like, I'll be okay because I feel like I'm not alone. I feel like I'm supported. I feel like I'm okay, I'm whole, I'm good. And I feel as if my faith gave me that just belief in myself. My faith is what really gave me that strength to just continue, strength to constantly, when I'm being pushed down and when I feel like challenges are just coming and coming and coming, to just keep arising, keep getting better. And I think it's a lot easier when you don't feel so alone to overcome battles and overcome challenges. And I feel as if my faith has proved to me that that I'm not alone, that I can do. I say right before every single race, I say I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But I really mean it, and I really believe it, because if I don't see it for myself, in fact, when I was, the one race that I did win, the 1500, I don't even remember it really, but I remember watching the video back at the end, and as I'm passing as I'm about to pass the 2 girls that were ahead of me, and I'm going on a home stretch. All I was telling myself was, "Dear God, please don't let me stop." I was like, "This hurts."
Yeah.
But I was literally praying because I was running for my life.
That was phenomenal.
I hope it didn't look like
I did
it.
see that, yeah.
But in my head, I was like, "This really hurt."
That was phenomenal. Yeah.
And so sometimes I just feel like when you give your reliance and you put your faith into something bigger than you, it's just a comfort you can't deny. And for me, I'm very religious, and so that means a lot for me. People find it in all sorts of things, but for me, that's what I realize is just worked for me. Yeah. So I can't complain.
You eventually did it, Layla. You eventually, as you mentioned, you eventually got what you wanted to get. That was first. Yeah. And for some reason, it still seems, and I know how it feels, and there is a huge interest in me to understand and show appreciation towards why you are still not satisfied, even though you got the first. You got gold in CARIFTA 2023 for your country. You're there, your family was there, your circle was there. That's a good moment. That's a big moment. Did it settle in even though you don't remember?
No, because I had a race the next day.
The next day? Yeah, 800 was it?
And so I had the 800 the next day. So it's kind of like, check the box.
Yeah.
Go cool down.
Next, yeah.
Quite literally, just nothing's changed except for the result. And it's something that didn't really change because in my head I saw it like 40 times leading up to the race. But before all my races, I visualized the same thing. You know, it's just this one actually came true. Like I saw it happen before it happened. But it's a mental thing that I force myself to be in the exact position that I need to be in. I look at the track beforehand. I see myself, I force myself to feel the nerves beforehand. And I really force myself to be in the exact situation before the race even begins. So when it does, and I picture like 30 different scenarios, knock on wood, but like, anything can happen in a race. So if you're being pushed, if you fall, if anything, I picture it beforehand. So then I deal with this. So I know what to do if it happens. You know what to expect, yes. So then I try and picture as many different scenarios so then I could always deal with it right there and then. So when I actually happened to win the 15, it was kind of just like a breath of relief.
Really? Because
for so long, this is now since I was 13 to when I was 17, and I've been, this is all I've wanted. Yeah. This is what I've really been going for. Yeah. But I still had another year after that, and it was like, okay, well, what if I realized when you've reached the goal that you really wanted, there is always going to be something more that you know. So it just raised the bar higher for my expectations for myself. Yeah. So it turned something that I didn't really see as realistic, real. Yeah. Well, not didn't see, because I did see it. I did see it, but it hadn't happened yet. But it just kind of finalized something, but it's like, okay, my next goal, what is it? And so I always take the time to be grateful after every meet, regardless of the results. So that never changed. Whether I came last or I came first in that race, I was still going to react the same. But this time was a bit like, I finally did it. Finally. I did it, yeah. I can finally relax. I can finally like enjoy this one for a proper 12 hours. And then right back to training, you know. And so, I don't know. It was kind of those bittersweet feelings because I'm so grateful. But I also worked really, really hard to get there. And so it was like a stepping stone where I'm just seeing progress and I'm seeing an improvement. But then there's also the flip side of things, which I don't really talk about. My time was not good. During that time? Yeah, my time for me personally, I wasn't very happy with the time. But there's certain meets that you run for time and there's certain meets that you run for position. And there's a big difference between the two.
What's the biggest difference?
You can run a PR in an Olympic race, but if you don't win gold or bronze or silver, would you really, like, the world wouldn't recognize your PR. So if you kind of get what I'm saying, so it was like, I ran this 1500 and I won the gold, but for me in my head, that wasn't the best time. So I felt as if, even though physically I was I was spent, but I was like, I now have another goal to work towards, because there's still a lot of room for improvement. Because it's not, this time isn't anything fantastic. So I just see it from a different lens for myself personally, because I feel as if I'm satisfied with something, then what do I have to work for? But if I keep finding those things to strive towards, then it helps me just keep moving forward in my sport. And then understanding now, because this is when the shift in mindset was really happening, and I was starting to, this whole year I really spent time working on my positive motivation, like methods. And so a big positive thing for me was just very simply just saying like affirmations or little things like that, just like, you know, I can do this.
Simple as that.
As simple as I can do this. I've done it already in my head. So now I have to actually do it, but I can. And I saw a major shift in result in just 1 year. And it's honestly that day when I still think about that race, the only thing, I just really believed that nothing could stop me. There was no doubt in my mind that I was not going to cross that line and give it my all. It didn't matter to me who or what was in the race or what was going on in the stands or who was in the race, but every time I step on the track, nothing else matters but what I can produce, what I can do for myself. If you get what I'm saying.
I got you. And that also happened to be the same year that you signed for Florida, University of Florida. Yeah, 23. I'm not sure on the dates, but if you would have competed in the CARIFTA 23, you would have signed in spring of 23, correct, like March, April.
Yeah, that sounds...
Yeah. And then you committed. Huge success. That was, for any athlete to be able to play and compete at the Division 1 level. That must have, I wonder if that was also relief, or was it something like, okay, now, it's time to go.
Well, at the end of every single year, since I was 11, since I started running in BSAC, as unserious as I was then, I still kind of that serious. It's to the point where I have to check in with myself at the end of every year and ask myself, is this something that I really want to do for another year? Only because of, it's a lot of time commitment, it's a lot of sacrifices that people, it sounds silly, but little things that get to me the most, like everyone is home for vacation or everyone is home in Barbados with their family, but I chose to stay on campus and keep training and not to be in the environment where I could get distracted. But I made the decision to to keep doing what I've been doing for the past 4 or 5 months. And although I make all the choices, it kind of gets me a bit in terms of almost FOMO, fear of missing out, because I feel as if sometimes I just want to do what all my friends are doing. Sometimes I just want to relax. Sometimes I don't want to train. I don't want to run in 6 degrees. I just don't feel like it. So I have to check in with myself at the end of every year, and I make the decision all over again. Is this something that I want to do for another year? And so far it's been yes. And it will still be yes. But mentally, I have to make sure that, kind of when I was telling you about balance and rest, that I'm making sure I'm good, because it does take, well, not so much anymore. But it definitely has gotten to the point where it's taken such a toll on me that I'm kind of questioning, what am I doing? Why am I so far away from home? And I wasn't really studying what I was liking last year, but I loved the school. I loved my program. But then I got injured.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't race outdoor. But I still loved being there every single day. I love cross training is a stretch. But I love to do it. You know, if my coach tells me to do this, I'll be like, yes, coach. Sure.
Yeah.
I might complain while walking by myself. But I'm like, of course, coach.
You love the environment of University of Florida so far. Yeah.
So when something resonates with me so much, and when I signed, I had no idea what I was really signing into.
Really?
I was about to go to a completely different school. And
You don't have to mention.
Okay. Yeah. But then it literally just hit me that the last minute I kind of freaked out.
Really?
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision.
Okay.
Because when you're talking to all these coaches and you're being recruited and everyone's telling you different things, it's a confusing environment. Because you really have no idea between the bluff and what's real. And then you talk to people there, people I know, other athletes who call me and tell me, well, I haven't had the best experience here, but I've had a great experience here. But I realize it really comes down to when you're in that whole recruiting process, you cannot focus on anybody else but you and what resonates with you personally. So when I went on my visit at Florida, and I was told that I would be coached by Coach Holloway, and I highly respect him. He's phenomenal, and I've seen what he's done for his whole program, and I was like, to be able to just be part of this, going into the program, I felt that I was so grateful. So that really made the biggest difference when I was being in my recruitment process. And so when he saw something in me that I didn't really see for myself at all, and I'm still working there, I'm still working on it. And it's just a different environment. So I'm so fortunate that I signed those papers and I took the chance, because that means no cross country. And I've been doing cross country for forever. And he saw just a different path for me. So I'm still seeing, as I'm still in it, where I'm gonna go in track, and I'm still observing, but I love what I'm doing and I love where I'm at. And it kind of reminds me, I haven't talked or thought about 11-year-old me in a long time. But as you said, that girl loved what she was doing. She kind of got a bit confused between if she should or shouldn't, and if she really loves this, or does she just do this because she's got accustomed, But I realized that I really do. I wouldn't be doing the sport for so long if I didn't love it. 800 hurts too much for me to come back every time and pretend it doesn't hurt again. To run it all over again. But I'm just so grateful where I'm in a program that I love. So even when I was going through all my challenges of this past season and very disappointing season. Injury, and then I got a bit sick for a while. So by the time I was ready to come back in outdoor, this regular season was done. And my coach was kind of like, you give me the option. You can race and open up in our conference championships, but then you kind of risk opening up and not advancing because you haven't had any races under your belt, and I'm not running those times yet. Or you redshirt. And then
that's
come strong. But then I got the chance to still keep competing internationally.
Because it was that was the same year.
So I still got to come home for nationals this year, and I got to experience going to World Juniors. So it's like you never know why things happen, and I wasn't, again, disappointments. But going back to your original question, because I kind of went on a little rampage there. When I signed those papers at University of Florida, I didn't know what I was signing myself into, but I'm just so grateful that I chose that school and I went there, because even though I didn't have the best season on paper, I had a phenomenal year and I love the group that I'm with and everything like that. So you never know why things happen, but
for a reason.
I'm being patient.
Yes. Being patient. The environment, I assume, from what you're saying, is that, let alone the athletics, you had a school that you felt like you belonged. Yeah.
Definitely.
And even though it's a big school, you had your circle, and you had your people. You had, speaking to other athletes, they love to talk to other athletes in different sports. University of Florida does have football and soccer.
Yep.
They have men's soccer. They have men's soccer.
Yeah. No.
Only women's, right?
Women's.
Yeah, women's soccer. Lacrosse,
Yes.
I believe, and tennis.
Women's lacrosse.
Yes, women's lacrosse. Many sports, many people, many internationals. Do you find this is an environment where you can connect, meet people, see different cultures, enjoy being around people? Do you think for going forward,
100%.
now you have 3-4 years left?
3.
3?
Yeah.
What do you think?
100%. I feel as if regardless of whatever I take away from my University of Florida experience, and I'm still very much in it. I've only been there for a year, but I can say based off of my past year, the people that I've met have just been so incredible in terms of not just what they've achieved in their own sports, but where they come from, their stories, who they are. And I wouldn't have that experience if I didn't go there. And I don't think I would have been able to meet as many broad, different types of people all in one place coming together, because we all have one goal. We just want to win. So it's great because you can kind of, everyone understands each other's lifestyles, because being an athlete on campus is a bit different to being a regular student in terms of we're fully on training and competing, and our schedules are a bit crazy, but we have to make sure our school is good. And so we spend a lot of time getting tutoring and all that stuff to make sure everything is set and you're balancing it all. So when people around you are going through the exact same thing as you, regardless of the sport that they're in, it really helps with just connecting on that deeper level. So I feel like, especially in my team alone, this is more than friends. We're family now, because I feel like we've been through so much, and it's just been a year.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
And it's just been a year, and you're technically considered a redshirt sophomore.
Yes.
You do have the next outdoor season coming up? Or
yes. So I have indoor and outdoor.
Indoor and outdoor coming up. But Layla, the last question usually, what's next after that? What's next for Layla? After today.
After today?
Yeah, from a larger scale, what's next? What's next for you?
I've been really thinking about this recently as we go into 2025 and it's a new year. But I think I have a lot of things to work on. I feel like I'm always constantly working on myself. Really trying to just be better in all areas of my life. Kind of that balance thing. And now that I've been through a lot when I was younger and just gaining that experience and being on different world stages in my sport and just understanding different environments, I'm now at the point where I'm applying this stuff. So the lessons that I learned when I was 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17, I'm now using. So I already have grown and I have learned a lot, but the next couple years I plan on executing, because I really feel as if we can talk a lot, and I can try and keep going, but the best part about going through being a junior athlete, and I'm technically maybe still a junior athlete, I am a junior athlete, but as I keep getting older and older and going through the ranks and hopefully going to the senior level, that is when you start applying what you've learned. And that is when you start executing at higher levels. So my goal within the next couple of years is to just expose myself to as many different races, as many different scenarios, as many different environments, and just really grow as an athlete. Make those connections with people from all over the world, and really just focus in on my sport up until the goal for me would be Olympics or whatever, and everything leading up to that. And then I really can't, after 2028, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. But my goal for right now is 2028.
It's close.
But let's say way easier said than done.
Yes.
And there's a long way that I have to go before that. But understanding that patience and everything in time. And even if not 28, I'm still going to work towards it.
Layla, I think the value that you've given a lot of the younger athletes who are listening to this, and any athlete in general, coach, recruiter, anybody, the value that you can give to the next guest is something that you can say to them so that they can speak off of or speak to them, and something about you that maybe you have said before or haven't said before so far. But what would you share with the next guest? Not necessarily a question, but what would you share with the next guest that would bring value to them?
I guess would be something that time and time again I have had to work on, and I'm finally at the point where I feel a lot more secure. And it would be, remember that belief thing that I was talking about, like believing in yourself? That is the first step to everything. Because if you don't see it for yourself, if you don't believe it for yourself, what are you working towards? You can have all the dreams in the world, but if you really don't believe that you'll be there, then you can't ask your coaches to convince you. You can't ask people to work for it for you. You know, so I think that's a bit of luck. A little bit of luck.
You need to live like that. Yes, that's right.
But no, really, it's just really focusing on that confidence in yourself and just really being yourself authentically and just gliding, like just really striving towards all your goals that you could possibly achieve. Because I think that's the first step.
Yeah.
That is literally the first step, regardless of who you are.
Layla, you are exceptional, and it's been a pleasure. Honestly, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And this has been someone that I really wanted to talk to for a long while, especially someone that I wanted to hear their story and to share with others. So again, Layla, thank you so much. All right.